Dovetail just released footage of their new flight simulator. Hey guys, I'm Merryface here, and this video is a little different. So first off, sorry for the grainy footage and potentially crappy audio, but I have none of my filming equipment. I'm here in Dublin doing my SimTech MCC. It's been hugely intense. I've been doing 5 AM sessions and all kinds of really cool stuff. However, this is not what this video is about. I've never done this before, but I want to talk a little bit about flight simulator news. And as you know, I've been quite into my flight simulator recently because back home I've got my professional training. I kind of want to apply it to my hobby. Flight simulation is a hobby of mine. And so let's talk about Dovetail's flight school. They released today a new video, and this video is a showcase of their approach and landing tutorial in the game. The video's been received with quite a lot of disappointment. Now, I am disappointed about some things, but at the same time, it hasn't put me off the simulator yet, and I'm going to go through this because I'm going to go through different reasons why I'm slightly disappointed with this showcase. First off, content, tiny little thing, POV, the point of view is too high in the aircraft. For the Super Cub, if you're going to be sitting there at the front, you're going to be much higher than the guy in the back, but you're still not going to be that high up, unless you're a freakishly tall guy. I'm a freakishly short guy, so there might be some bias there. I'm trying to be as neutral as I can. But it's kind of annoying to see on the video the guy's so high up in comparison to the instruments. But there you go, just a small thing. The next thing is that the tutorial is basically teaching you how to do the circuit. It starts downwind, and then you turn base and turn final and land. And the instructor and the pilot, the person flying the tutorial, never looks at the runway once until they're on final. And when you're flying with a flight instructor, the first thing they tell you is look at your position relative to the runway whenever you're flying in the circuits. And Dovetail is priding themselves. They pride themselves in putting a lot of effort into making this training as realistic as possible, in as much as possible within Flight Simulator. And the whole point of flight school is to introduce new flight sim enthusiasts, new people into the flight simulator community, which is fantastic. But if they pride themselves in the realism of the training that they deliver in the game, they should use realistic teaching. And which this brings me to the next point, because not only do they not look at the runway, but they don't use visual references in a visual flight. They're just using headings, right? You're in downwind, heading 090, and the video is in the UK. It's in the middle of a really busy area in the orbit scenery, which looks fantastic. We'll talk about this in a little bit. But another thing you'll do as a VFR pilot is you use visual cues. 090, there's that landscape ahead of me. That's what I'll use to know that I'm still on downwind the whole time. And then I'll turn on base leg and use the next one, and then final, and I'll have the runway. And it's disappointing because, again, it's not realistic in the way that they teach that. The flight instructor in the simulator does not talk about that at all. And in fact, the pilot in the airplane doesn't look around at all. It's completely fixed, which again is a huge disappointment. I don't know what it means. Maybe they didn't fix the crappy panning from FSX. Maybe they didn't want to show some artifacts from panning the view, which would be a really bad sign. I don't know why, but there you go. There are some positive things though with the content. The instruction is very good in terms of Langevici's type of flying. They teach it really well. In explaining it quite well, and I think this all been briefed before, obviously, since they're doing the landing lesson. So in that end, it seems okay. It's just that they're missing, but this is the kind of stuff that was already available in FSX before with the Rod Machado stuff. So I'm not seeing that extra realism that I was expecting to see in the flight tutorials. Now, the other thing I'll say that's positive, I know that ended in a negative spin, but the fact is that the explanations are good, so that was a positive thing. The explanations that they give are good. They're just lacking a lot of extra sort of things that they should be giving. So then the next thing I was going to talk about is the cool new layout and interactiveness, the fact that we've got obviously new instructors, so therefore new voices, and I think they're going to be different for each region. And that's really exciting. And I'm excited to try and learn and interact with it. It's a disappointment that they're still using the old FSX compass thing. I don't know why. I guess game developers seem to love it. It's already there and it works and it does the job well. So, whatever. I mean, I don't really mind. It's not a big a deal. I hope you can turn it off as you could in FSX, because that would be a huge disappointment if you couldn't do that. But that's it for the content. Now let's look at the looks in a different way than everyone else looked at it. Now, most people looked at the video and they're like, there's not very high resolution, there's a stutters, which, by the way, the stutters are quite annoying. The video editing wasn't that great, which is not that big a deal because, hey, my videos aren't not that good in a way. But they've been making a huge hype about Dovetail Flight School. And, you know, they've been, like, building it up and doing this pre-sales on Steam and that kind of stuff. And that's the showcase they give us. It's underwhelming, to say the least. It's underwhelming, absolutely. Okay, so the thing is, though, in terms of looks, it's Orbix. It's Orbix scenery, and it looks great. Orbix scenery always looks great. I know because they use a big range of developers. And, you know, it's on a 60-bit system. It's eye candy aircraft, at least. Hopefully they'll be realistically modeled. We'll see that later. And better tweaking, so hopefully it will run better with higher performance PCs, or that's the hope anyhow. Now, if you consider the fact that you've got eye candy aircraft, Orbix, 64 bits, and potentially better tweaking for better performance, and it's only $15, then you realize it's actually a really good deal. Because think about it, the HUA Piper Cub is about $40 if I remember correctly. Orbix Global, the base pack, is $70. So then you got FSX, so you're talking about, to get the same level of stuff, you're talking about $200 for FSX. And you'd need to do hours of tweaking, and you'd still be on 32-bit, so you might not get the same performance. So yes, overall, I'm still looking forward to it. Flight School still looks good, and I still think it's a worthwhile investment. I did pre-order it a while ago to get the DA42, because the current DA42s, including the Alabeo, aren't that realistic. The Alabeo one is good. The Aerobask, I think you guys realize I didn't really like it if you watch that video where I review it. Now, hopefully, Dovetail does deliver, and this cracks up to be what they basically are saying it is going to be. You know, the fact that it runs well with modern PCs. But for what I've seen so far, I'm a little skeptical. I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping there would be the sort of thing that can, you know, run almost like a modern game. The very least I'm hoping is better performance. I'm hoping for less stutters and better FPS. But we'll see. So the biggest positive thing about Dovetail Flight School is the fact that it might introduce many newcomers to FS, to flight simulation in general, and that is a fantastic thing. We need more people. Unfortunately, we're a small community, and on top of that, many people in that community pirate, which is definitely a bad thing, because then our add-ons end up being really expensive. It's a niche market. We need as many people as possible actually paying for the content. And if we increase the number of people coming to FS, then hopefully that will increase the amount of revenue coming into FS, which will encourage developers to create better add-ons for the future, including for Dovetail Flight School and Flight Simulator. So there you go. That was a long video. I've been recording for a long time. I better edit this now. On Thursday, you get the last part of the multi-engine with the DA42 and Sim 720 series. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope if you have any insights about the Dovetail Flight School, tell me about it in the comments below. I'm Merryface. I'll see you guys next time, and happy flying.